The implementation overview for the Year 3-4 timetable fluency targeted intervention delivered by teaching assistants. How we set up the evaluation. The first thing we ask you to do is identify a group of target learners. Use the What Worked Teachers platform to then randomly allocate these to the intervention and the control group. Complete the pre-assessment test with both the intervention and control group. We will then deliver the timetable intervention over 5 weeks with the intervention group, and the control group will continue as business as usual. And then complete the post-assessment with both groups. If the intervention shows promise, you can then open this up to the students who are in the control group. So let's look at this from a step-by-step delivery approach for the planning. Step 1. Identify a group of learners to participate in the evaluation from the same year group or class. Step 2. Read the intervention schedule and print off the resource packs for the times tables that you will be teaching in the next 5 weeks. These are included in the resource folder. Step 3. Using the trial wizard on the What Worked Teachers platform, randomly assign learners to the intervention and the control group. So moving on to implementing this in your school. Step 4. Complete the pre-assessment maths test with both the intervention and control groups. Record the marks in the Excel tracker, which you'll find located in the resource folder, and input the scores into the pre-test on the trial wizard. For the intervention group of students, follow the delivery schedule for the times table of fluency lessons. The control group will continue with business as usual for the duration of the trial. And step 6, complete the post-assessment maths test, which is the same as the pre, to both the intervention and control group. Record the marks in the Excel tracker that's located from the resource folder, and then input the post-test scores onto the trial wizard. Once you've done that, if you click Analyze, and then complete the process evaluation, you'll then generate an impact report which shows you how the intervention has worked in your school. So moving on to the intervention. It's a targeted number fluency intervention which focuses on Year 3 and Year 4 pupils. It's delivered by a teaching assistant in small groups, and each session will take approximately 15 minutes. How it works, just another quick recap. It's a systematic approach to teaching times tables, where it aims to develop children's fluency when recalling facts up to the 12 times 12. It is designed with the 4 characteristics of effective fluency practice in mind: spacing, interleaving, testing, and overlearning. The times tables are learnt in the following order. For this project, you can, because it is being slotted in, basically start on the times tables that you're going to teach over the next 5 weeks. And when learning the facts in each of the times table, the key facts are broken down into manageable chunks and introduced using a phonics flashcard approach, so children learn the sound pattern of each fact. Rehearsal of the facts happens little and often, and interleaving is used to ensure children consolidate previously learned facts. The systematic approach also ensures children develop an understanding of the cumulative law and the relationship between multiplication and division facts. The approach can be used as a whole class teaching approach or small group, which is in this case, and requires a low amount of resourcing. Each session should be no longer than 15 to 20 minutes. So you'll see that you have the teaching flashcards, which takes 10 minutes. So the children need to be able to count through the multiples in each half of the table first before learning the sound pattern to each multiplication fact, such as 1 5 is 5, 2 5s are 10. Once children are confident, the teacher or the teaching assistant could challenge the children to recall the multiplication facts out of order. This should be repeated with the division facts so children are confident with the inverse of each multiplication fact. The teacher models writing the division calculation alongside the multiplication on the whiteboard. Again, this should be said using a sound pattern sentence. There is 1 5 and 5, there are 2 5s and 10. And you can see you can develop division flashcards if this is required. Depending on the fluency confidence of the group, the teaching assistant or the teacher may spend 1 or 2 sessions just using the flashcards to introduce the new set of facts before using the booklets for independent practice. And you'll see the rehearsal booklets that are in the resource folder. So once children are familiar with the first set of facts, the booklet should be used at the end of each session so children can practice the facts they've learned. If a teacher feels children need more rehearsal of the new facts, this practice may not start until the 2nd or 3rd session. So within each booklet there are 22 tests, and these consist of 40 questions in each test, and they're structured as followed. Tests 1 to 4, first half of the new times table. Tests 5 to 8, second half of the new times table. Tests 9 to 12, all of the new times table. Tests 13 to 22, the new times table combined with previously learnt times tables. You'll see in the resource folder, which I've already explained, an example of how this is implemented in Staindrop School, which goes through week 1, week 2, and then weeks 3, 4, and 5. This can be adapted for your setting. In the resource folder, you'll find the PDFs for the flashcards for each of the times tables and also the rehearsal booklets. Please print off the one-page planning sheet guidance, just so you know which ones are required. You'll also find the tracking spreadsheet, which allows you to link an anonymous student ID to a learner in your class. So key considerations. Logistical issues need to be considered before using a targeted times table fluency strategy as an intervention. So is there a suitable time in the day for the delivery? As this is a targeted teaching assistant intervention, is there a suitable location, such as a classroom, a library, or somewhere quiet? And make sure you print off the schedule in advance. Make sure you have the resources also printed off in advance of starting the intervention. And will you link this to any rewards for the students for their efforts? Logistical barriers are common in any intervention delivered in schools, so it is important to consider these prior to starting. So moving on to the assessment guidance. To measure the impact of the intervention, you will need to create an assessment to use at the start and the end of the trial with both groups. This will be 20 times table questions, which is 6 seconds per question. As schools will be learning different times tables during the school year, can you create an assessment using the timetables that you are teaching in the 5-week block and include a few from previous learning? So we're asking you just to create your own assessment, and you will use exactly the same assessment for the pre and the post. This will be 20 questions. You could use a PowerPoint, which is timed at 6 seconds, or you can just read these out to the students. And we do include in the resource folder an example of an answer sheet that the students can write on. So finally, just with the assessment, the pre-assessment is use your bespoke one that you've created. This is 20 time questions, 6 seconds per question. The resource folder includes a pupil answer sheet template. So please record the score for each learner in your Excel tracker and input this onto the What Word Teachers platform. And then just repeat this for the post assessment at the end of the trial. This is for the control and intervention. And you're using the same assessment that is to be used to measure progress and effectiveness of the intervention. Please record the score for each learner in the Excel tracker and input this onto the What Word Teachers platform. So that's the end of the implementation video. Your next step is to download the research protocol and the resource folder and then enter the trial wizard.